Good afternoon. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central. We get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com. I have Kaylie Johnson with me. She is the general manager of the Gadsden Mall, and Phillip Gilliland, who's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches, and you decided to come to Gadsden.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't it wasn't that far. It's great. I love seeing the activity, and what she's done with this mall is incredible.
I can't believe it. And I told Kaylie a little bit earlier, I said Christmas was actually Christmas this year.
Yes.
They were at full capacity.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's done a great job.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. So we're talking to new folks right now. So talk to us about and by the way, I go to the Cowboy Church, the one in Boaz. And I kind of jump back and forth, Lookout Mountain too.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They're all great folks. But there's a common thread with the Cowboy churches. You want to talk to us? What's the difference?
Well, I think to me, and I'm a traditional church background, like 90% of the people that come to Cowboy Church came from some kind of traditional church background. But Cowboy Church, to me, the difference is lowered barriers. You don't have to come looking like us, acting like us, and smelling like us. You come as you are. Just like people went to Jesus, and when he was ministering on the earth, people went to him in whatever shape and condition they were in, and he dealt with it. And so the church is the bride of Christ, and we accept people like that. We don't expect people to come all fixed up and their life all in perfect order and them living perfect life. It don't happen. It don't happen.
Who does have a perfect life anyway? I've met people I thought might, but you kind of hang with them a little bit. You'll find they go through things like we do.
They do, yeah. And I yesterday is kind of a pastor. It's one of my days yesterday. I had one of those days yesterday where at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, I was in a hospital with some people that I've known literally my entire life. They're related to me. Their son's on life support, 42 years old, and you just hurt for them. And you it's just emotional. You pray with them, and 5 hours later, I'm in another hospital with a young couple having a baby. And they weren't supposed to be able to have children.
Oh.
And we had prayed for this and prayed for that day, and it was a surprise to the doctor when they got pregnant. And she had a beautiful little girl yesterday. It's like my friend Stacy Humphrey. He says, "I don't see how you do what you do." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Because you go from having your foot on the brake to all the way down on the gas pedal."
That's good.
Yesterday, I figured out what he meant, because your emotions, I mean, you cannot help. And I've been amazed over the years to have guys occasionally come by and say, "Man, I believe I can do what you do. I believe I can do." And I'm thinking, I can't do what I do. I cannot even begin to do what I do. It is only through the help of the Lord that we survive a day. So it's a calling, and when you find your calling, that's what you do. But back to the Cowboy Church thing, I think a lot of people come and they've been so burned or so disappointed maybe in times past by something in traditional church. Well, they come in, they feel this overwhelming sense of love, and they're just not used to it. People are being casual, and people are talking, and people are drinking coffee. And like I've said over and over, one of the greatest thrills to me is to look in the back of my church and see a guy that's an aeronautical space engineer drinking coffee beside a guy who drives a garbage truck for a living.
Right.
And they're having a great conversation over a cup of coffee. And so I think Cowboy Church doesn't know any social barriers. We've had accountants and school teachers and nurses, and I think our church has like 3 or 4 engineers. But they're not any different than the plumber or electrician or the truck driver or hire somebody that does something else. And when you come to Cowboy Church, all those kind of social barriers are gone. And I think to me that is the bigger difference. There's no barriers, and that's why there's no concrete. They're just concrete floors or shavings. There's not carpet. There's not padded pews. It's because we want people to be comfortable in wherever they are, in whatever setting. I've had guys that came from deer hunting and shot a deer and field dressed it, come into church with blood all over their boots. Well, praise the Lord, they're at church, you know.
That's exactly correct. Now, how did the whole thing start?
Well, the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches started about 2000, and there was this great group of guys, and these were well-educated men. I've known most of them, pretty on a really close basis, some of them, but those guys had this idea back in about 1998, and they began to work on this thing. They recognized that a lot of the big ranches out in Texas, the guys work 7 days a week. They don't get a chance to go to church. A lot of them have families that live in a little bunkhouse on a farm, and they said, these folks never get to go to church. Why don't we take food, go there, on a weeknight or a Sunday night, and just serve food and share the gospel with them. And they started that, and then it just blew up into this thing. And the first church was the Cowboy Church of Ellis County, which at one time before COVID was running almost 3,000 people there. And I've been there. It is the biggest. I mean, they're on a major Highway 287, major 4-lane in Waxahachie, Texas, and the biggest problem they have is getting people in and out and they do 2 services. Getting them in and out of the parking lot is a major undertaking, but they do a fantastic job. One of those guys was Gary Morgan. He just retired from there. Gary was he was the one that I heard speak, and he told me, he said, this is what's wrong with traditional church. We have our glorification, justification, and sanctification backwards in traditional church. We want people to come looking like us, acting like us, and us don't have it figured out. And in Cowboy Church, when he said that, all the lights went off in my little old brain, and I knew he was exactly right. We've got it all backwards. We ought to let people come.
Yeah, I've never really heard it explained that way when you say that. Like, that is like a little light bulb. Yeah. 100%.
And I knew that day, Kaylie, and I've been in the traditional churches all my life, but I knew that day I'd never go back. Yeah. I knew that day. I said, this is what I'm
It's such a good story.
Well, it's a true story. I mean, it happened, that was at the Cowboy Church of Marshall County, and then that church planted a couple of churches a few years after, 2 or 3 years after that. One of them was the Trading Post Cowboy Church, which is where I've been ever since. And the other one is Crossover Cowboy Church, which was the first one you went to. Yes. And from that, we've grown into 300 plus churches across the country. And we're now affiliating, and I'm going to be helping with the pastor processing next month in Kentucky, because there's several Cowboy churches already there that have desired to affiliate. A lot of people, and I got a call from one of our church guys on the way here. He asked me, he said, there's some people wanting that's been doing a Cowboy church and they want to affiliate. How do they do that? I said, well, the pastor has to go through a process, because we do a thorough background check.
I like that.
And so we take a man and his wife, we bring them to a location. We usually do about 5 couples at a time, 4 or 5 couples at a time. We want the husband and wife to both be there. And we have a question and answer, and it's not a test. It is a time of encouragement and evaluation, but there's not a score that's given.
Yeah.
It is just so we know each other, and if there's an area that we think they could use some help in, we'll point out, maybe give them some scripture or a book that would help them grow in that area. But that's the way you get affiliated. And like one of the guys going through the process and in Kentucky is from up above Knoxville. And I met this guy in all places in Amarillo at the WRCA finals last November. His name's Mike Hamilton. He's a great guy. And I'd never met him before. And man, we just had a conversation, and he was moved to tears when he said, I've been wanting to start a Cowboy church, and I had no idea. Of course, we have a booth at the WRCA, and we pass out Bibles, and there's a whole group of us there. And before it was over, we were all huddled up in a circle, about 5 of us, and praying. And I've been up there once, and he's going through the process, and I just know this is going to be another Lookout Mountain or Sand Mountain or one of those real great success stories, because he has such a heart for what he's doing, and so I'm excited about that. There's 2 ways that we get Cowboy churches affiliated. One is we help start one, like Mike Hamilton, or maybe there's others that have been going for some time, and they feel like they're all by themselves. When they come into the fellowship, there's not a fee they pay. There's not a charge that they have to pay annually to belong. We don't operate like that.
Yeah.
So we want to be an encouragement and a help, and we try to do the things that we know works. We have a church model that we have. Those guys that started this back in the beginning. All of those guys were middle age or older. Most of them were graduates of Southwestern or Truett Seminary or a seminary. Most of them had worked either for the BGCT or pastored big churches, so they knew all of the wrong things. And so in Cowboy Church, we vote on very few things. We vote on now, like if we're going to build a building or buy something major, tract of land or cover the arena, we're going to let the church vote on it. But if it's just normal stuff like, well, are we going to have an event this weekend, or can the chuck wagon, that we have teams, and those teams decide and they have a budget they turn in.
Seems like a very good structure.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't told you the best part. The best part is we operate by consensus. Either that team either all agrees to do it, or we pray together until we do, and it doesn't have to be right then. It can. We want to cover our arena, and we don't have an issue of people wanting to do it, but there's an issue between covering it where it's at or relocating it on our property. And we haven't had a squabble about it. We haven't had a fuss about it. But we're not in consensus about it. And so this has been going on for about 3 months. And one day we'll have a consensus, and all this time we're getting money, and people are donating money because they know we're going to do it. And when it comes time, we'll have the money to do it, and we'll have a consensus of where to put it.
I'm going to mention something though. They have this huge outreach into the community. So I was actually renting some space from another radio station, and I had my talk show there. This is before COVID and all that stuff hit. And so what happened was I had mentioned to you that I wanted to have a ribbon cutting. And so Phillip said, well, we'll bring the chuck wagon.
Yeah.
You got to hear about the chuck wagon. So this is what happened. So the lady who was with the Chamber of Commerce, this is in Jackson County. So she meets with my husband Phillip and says, now Donna's extremely ambitious. She's been all over the place talking. She'll do good to have 5-10 people there. We just don't have many people. Check out 400. Over 400 people come to my ribbon cutting. But it was because of them. And so what I was doing, people had already heard about the Cowboy Church. And so I just said a chuck wagon's going to be there. They're going to have food. And we're just going to have a bunch of fun, you know.
You know that we love that. That is our best kept secret. I keep telling churches our chuck wagon is our best kept secret, because it's like one of the conversations I had on the way here is the Southeastern Livestock and Rodeo will be coming up in March. It's in Montgomery. It's a huge deal. And so we'll have a booth there. We'll have a chuck wagon there.
So what's all involved in this chuck wagon? Is it just a wagon?
You want to be involved in this.
I need to know the special sauce to this chuck wagon.
well, you just need to plan an event and let us bring a couple of them down here
He's
one
been
day.
here.
Yeah. Oh.
Bobby Ledbetter
You did
with
tell me
Twin
that.
City Used Car Sales came down here. So this is when COVID hit.
Mhm.
And hungry people were,
Everywhere.
everybody wanted to feed. So Bobby said, do you think that Phillip would bring the chuck wagon down? And I said, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I said, so you had to make sure the dates mixed, matched and everything. But you came to what, 7 of those?
I missed one of them.
I missed one in Center.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
go
I
there.
missed the one here. I missed this one. That's the only one I missed.
But they had, it was like food was everywhere. And it was the hottest day of the year.
Well, we added up over that between that year and the final one that we did in Rainsville.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a fairly good estimate. I think we fed over 40,000 people in
I'm
the
sure of
process
it.
of that.
We had way over 2,000 people who
That's
came
something we
through.
could definitely do an event here or something.
We've got
the space to do
Mhm.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do, but it is neat because,
That's so cool.
and I'm not plugging for anybody, but we went and we cooked for the Cavender store, and when they had their grand opening in Huntsville. The Cavender family has been really good to the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches over the years, and I got so amused at it. I offered to do this. And I ended up talking to their marketing lady who was in their corporate office in Tyler, Texas. And she said, what are you going to charge us? I said, we're going to do it for free. She said, well, I just can't believe. And I said, let me tell you a story. Back a few years ago, there was, on RFD TV, there was a huge production called Cowboy Authentic. And it lasted for a year. And a guy named John Riggs went and recorded each ranch doing whatever work they were doing. It was phenomenal. And it cost a lot of money. And we didn't have that kind of money. The Cavender people put a lot of money into that to make that happen. And I told her that story. I said, this is our chance to give back a little bit for what y'all have helped us with. And we did. It was a great thing. And I mean, that's what it's all about. It's giving back to people that have a need. And man, if I've always said this, if you go back way before you were born, back before even I was born, the design in society was for the churches to take care of the needs of the people. And when we left that out and we put the government in charge of it, it's been a mess ever since. It's never been as good as if the churches had kept doing what they were called to do.
Well, churches, you guys are kind of in the moment. You know what that feels like. When you're government, they're sitting behind a desk. So,
That's right.
There's a different reality to kind of understanding the process and how it does.
Yeah.
So if a company wanted your wagons to come down and take a visit, how do they get in touch with you?
Well,
as far as that?
there is a website called AmericanFCC.org. My name is there. My phone number is there. My email is there. You can call the office, and that phone number is on the website as well. And there's a American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches Facebook page. There's a lot of ways you can get in touch with us, but
that's awesome.
Call me, I'll find him.
yeah, she'll hunt me down, and that's okay because it's all been good. I mean, so those were some great experiences, and John Merrill was at every one of those. He was at every one of those.
Yeah, John would actually call and he'd say, now you let me know when you're going to do another one, okay?
Yeah. Bobby Ledbetter was at every one of them. He had such a heart to do for the community. What a great guy. I've got to go see him because I've got a 16-year-old that's got to have a vehicle.
He's doing great down here in
I can
Gadsden's
tell.
the place
I
to
can
come
tell.
if you want to start a business.
I've got to go see him because I really love Bobby Ledbetter, and he's a good Christian man. He's one of the few. him and Kerry Mitchell's the only car dealers I'd trust. And but I love both of them. They're good guys, and man, what an experience that was. But it was good for our churches because we didn't just have one Cowboy church that showed up. We had Miss Rebecca from the Cowboy Church in Jerusalem that came to center. And she has a bunch of kids from the Ranch of Hope and Healing, which I serve on their board. And these kids come from places that are rough, but she's got a love for them. She brought them over to center to help serve people. And there's all these kids.
They're so well behaved too. I've met her, and she is an awesome lady.
I talked to her yesterday, and I talked to her again this morning. One of my lay pastors is going over to preach for February the 3rd, and she's just so excited about him because he's a good guy, and he agreed to go preach over there on the 3rd. So she called me back this morning to tell me that. But we are in a circle of some of the most real people that you would ever. That's why she goes.
That's
to
why
church.
I go.
Yeah.
People are
I'm
just
about giving up on church, not God, not Jesus, nothing like that. I'm just about giving up on it.
well. I and I loved it. I did youth ministry for years and years, and I had fallen into a rut, and it was terrible. I was just burnt out from it, and it wasn't good. But when when I heard Gary Morgan preach that sermon that day and talk about the sanctification, glorification, just I knew then what was wrong. I knew then exactly what was wrong. We got our priorities wrong. It's just like things in this country today. We've got our I got amused at somebody's Facebook post last night. We played basketball in Huntsville. I got home at 10:30.
Are you a basketball star?
My 16-year-old, who's both my young boys are really tall. They're both over 6 feet. They're 16 and 14. So anyway, we got home, and I was looking at this, and it showed going through security in an airport, and you're getting the 3rd degree, and it showed them coming across the border and the difference. And I'm thinking, no wonder we're so messed up. We have got things so backwards to what it should be, and we just need to get things. I mean,
Well, everything's upside down.
yeah, it's just not right. Things. I mean, we. It's not that I'm against airport security. My goodness, we don't have a choice. We have to do that. But we also could fix that border, and I wonder how many people have died from the fentanyl that was brought across it. I wonder how many kids were exploited in this human trafficking. The last time I was in Gadsden, which has just been a couple of weeks ago for something, I can't remember why I was down here, but I had to go back to the school at Rainsville, and and man, there was like 5 state troopers with 2 vans pulled over on the side of, and I said something about it, and they said, well, that's one of the highest human trafficking highways in the country.
That's so scary.
Oh, it is.
That's terrifying.
It is.
Because it's home now. It's not in
It's our
Chicago
front
or
door.
New York.
Yeah.
No, it's in our back door, and I thought, my goodness, how sad is that? We have to make some changes, and we need to get back to be having a biblical based platform of a political party, not some ungodly things and unbiblical things that people adapt to just to make friends with the world. The Bible tells us you can't be a friend with God and a friend of the world at the same time. There is a difference, and you're choosing which side you're on. Every time you fill out a ballot, you're choosing which side you're on.
It's very, very important.
Absolutely.
I wanted to mention one more thing though about the chuck wagon. You guys,
Oh yeah.
Now, not only in this area, when there's a disaster somewhere, I know Curtis Chesser and a
Yes.
bunch went up to Kentucky when they had the flooding up there.
Yeah. And I talked to Curtis, I think this week too. But Curtis and them have that's their special ministry. But Curtis is also my go-to chuck wagon guy. Like if we need chuck wagons, I don't usually call around. Curtis has all their phone numbers. He's kind of my right-hand guy, And then there's another one coming along down at Auburn named J.W. Yarborough, which I talked to J.W. twice on the way up here this morning. J.W. is doing the same. He's taking the chuck wagon to the SLE, and so I want, if I could say one thing, all of this doesn't fall on me. These guys in all of these churches, pastors, lay pastors, and elders in these churches make my job so easy. Because all I have to do is call one person, and I of course Auburn's closer to Montgomery, so I called JW. I said, look, we need to put that, we need to do our booth and everything, and let me know what I need. He said, well, I'll take care of it. I'll call Matt Knowles. Matt is a pastor in Childersburg, and Matt's been a board member. Matt and him, and then Bill Coleman has a church there in right outside of Montgomery, and all of those guys will get together and I'll see to it that they get the Bibles and the funding and the bills get paid. But it's all these other guys that I couldn't do everything I do.
It's all teamwork.
That's
Half
right.
the show is already over. We have to go to a commercial break.
Okay.
Bobby Ledbetter's going to help us pay for this.
Good.
We'll be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there, okay?
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com. You know they tell the truth there.
That's right.
Ooh, boy, if you get your feelings hurt easy, don't go to that podcast. So many awesome talk show hosts are there. Kaylie Johnson is with me right now, and she's with the Gadsden Mall, and Phillip Gilliland is with me. He's with American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. You've got to hear about a wedding, a Cowboy church wedding. June is coming up, all through the year people get married as well, but how different is a Cowboy church wedding?
Oh goodness, they're pretty different, and I enjoy them because half of them are outside or they're in a different venue. I've done several at the Old Gin in Pisgah, which is nothing more than just an
That's a
old gin.
beautiful place.
Oh my goodness. And I love doing them in those kind of settings versus inside a big cathedral of a church where everybody is so focused. The first little thing you say wrong, I mean, you can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
You can't. So I like the ones that are outside, and I like that they're I mean, we've done them where the bride rode in on a horse, or I did one where the bride and groom both sat on a horse, and they were my horses, and they looked just alike. I had two gray horses. I still have them. They're just like me. They're old now, but they sat on those two gray horses, and I did that one. And I mean, they sometimes, instead of a unity candle, they'll take and put a brand on a piece of wood.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on each other.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
We're pretty tough, but
I never heard that one.
yeah, they'll take. They may have had their brand made. Let's say their last name starts with
That's a cool idea.
with a F, and they'd take and have the F, and then they'd brand it
That's
into
cool.
a piece of
I like that.
wood.
That's very different.
And the whole time I'm doing the vows and everything, the branding iron is in the fire, staying hot. So, I mean, those are just some of the things. But the big thing is probably the venue. I've done two over at an old chicken house in Faultville. That was a chicken house built back in the late 40s, and it had a concrete floor. Well, they just swept all that up, cleaned it up. And it's just now in July it's pretty warm, but I married a couple there 2 years ago, and they just had their first child. It was just pretty neat. And this young lady that I love dearly, I did hers in the same place, and they just found out they were expecting. I did hers back several months ago. And she went to Mississippi State and studied poultry science, and I was speaking at the poultry science class there. Got to know her. She is an amazing young lady, most driven young lady, maybe like this one a
Like
little bit. I mean, she's this one is
100% capacity at Christmas.
so when I did their premarital counseling, it was all to him, buddy. Are you sure you can keep up? Because man, she's not going to take anything less than us being successful. So.
Mhm.
So, but he's about like her. He's just as driven, and that's a good thing. But the weddings, usually it involves a horse or something, and they're pretty laid back. Not quite as sophisticated as one in some big church. But now, my granddaughter's getting married in June, and I'm thinking hers is going to be in one of those churches. So, then I got a niece getting married in March, so. It'll be the wedding season, and I have done my share of them, so I don't think I'll do either one of these, but I sure don't want to do my granddaughter's. I'd never get through that one because she's.
Do you have a wedding coordinator that you that helps you plan everything and get everything
No,
together?
usually that bride gets theirs.
Okay.
The bride gets ever who they want to, and then I work with them we'll usually do a rehearsal, and I'll tell and it's not hard to put things. I mean, as far as going through the steps of the vows and everything, we do all of that. We don't have any. And I use what I like to do. I'll tell you this: I love to use the Book of Ruth. Ruth has the greatest love story of the entire Bible to me. And of course, my mother's name was Ruth, and she marries a man named Boaz, and but that story is beautiful because Ruth was she was a Moabite. She was a Gentile. She wasn't Jewish, and she married a Jewish guy, and he died. And so this word that appears only in the Book of Ruth is called the kinsman redeemer, meaning his nearest relative could marry her and get his land. Well, there was one closer than Boaz. And he is already married, and he knew. He said, "I can't do it." He might as well have said, "My wife is not going to see the humor." Although polygamy was a popular thing, my wife is not going to see the humor in me bringing another one home. You have to redeem it. So,
I'm saying this because I am a woman. I don't know why you'd want to.
I know it. I know it. But anyway, he marries Ruth. They have a son named Obed, who has a son named Jesse, who has a son named David, which is the lineage of Jesus. And so that's why it's actually,
cool.
Yeah, it is it's 4 or 5 chapters. I've read it a dozen times. It's just a beautiful story of how God made things. I mean, he was thinking of back then. See, the Gentiles, they didn't think the Gentiles had a chance. We weren't supposed to be part of God's family.
Yeah.
But God always meant for the Gentiles to be part of it because it goes all the way back to Genesis. But in the Book of Ruth, you really get the first real clear view. Well, yeah, David's great-great-grandmother was a Gentile. Why would he not? So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Well, we've talked about weddings. We've got to talk about, this is another huge thing I noticed about the Cowboy churches, is the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is what they do. Okay, the kids will get together with the pastor and he'll the story, and these kids are just all in it, and they love being in front of the church, and just it's just a fun thing. We love watching the kids.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the service, some of the churches will actually, the kids will come up and sing Happy Trails.
Yes. And that's how we close out a lot of the service with the kids singing Happy Trails.
I've never seen so many kids in a church.
Oh, I know.
Every Cowboy church I've ever went to, at least 30. At least. I mean, the kids are just everywhere.
And it's it's such a blessing. I really enjoyed we have a little Christmas party at our church for the kids. They all exchange gifts. And we had a whole group of extra gifts because we knew somebody would come that is normally not there, somebody that's never been to our church. So we made sure that everybody could have a gift. It was probably my favorite part of Christmas this year. When you get a whole group of kids today, and thank the Lord for every one of them, we're going to get a few that doesn't have very much. and we always make sure that when we cook that few that the leftovers go home with them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
That's
and I just love the way we do kids. I mean, like I said, I spent a whole lot of my life doing for kids, and I love to see what we get to do with kids. And can I tell one more story? A few years ago, and I was waiting to go into the Cattleman Stampede for us to do a live show. And I was a few minutes early. I was sitting outside. My phone rings. This lady says, "My name is so and so." I didn't know her. She said, "I've got 4 children." She said, 3 of them are not mine. The youngest one, who's a toddler, is the only one that's mine. The other 3 are from 5 to 10 or whatever it was. And she said, their mother's in prison. And she said, my husband and I are taking care of them. And we have asked them, we've offered to take them to the zoo in Birmingham. We've offered to take them to the aquarium in Chattanooga. And all 3 of them said all they want to do is ride a horse. And so it just so happened that coming Saturday, we had a fun day planned in the arena. So I take my boys, who were younger then. This has been probably 3 years ago, maybe. And I said, guys, we're going to load my horses up. We're going to go to the fun day, and this is our fun. We're going to lead those kids. So we go to the closet, and we dig out all the cowboy boots and all the Western hats that they've outgrown. And that lady brings those, and we outfit them. Every one of them had a pair of boots. Every one of them had a hat. And we led them around on these horses for 3 hours. And not only did it do my soul a bunch of good, I've never saw kids smile like those kids smile. And they might not have had much to smile about till that day. But I've thought over and over what it did for my boys, being able to help somebody and let them see what it's like to do for somebody that may have not had the same opportunities they've had.
Well, the world doesn't teach that. Schools don't teach that.
No.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson.
But that's what I love. That's why when they asked me, he said, well, we're planning our arena events. What do you want? I said, put down 2 fun days. I tell them, put down at least 2 fun days every year, because you never know the joy of putting a kid that's never been on a horse and leading them around. And sometimes they're really scared for just a little bit.
But it's the fear that they've overcome.
Oh, they'll overcome it. That's right.
So that's something, and that's a core memory. They're going to remember that for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about money.
Well, it takes it, unfortunately.
No, this is different because I was divorced, and so my son was little, didn't have a whole lot of money going around, and this is years and years and years. My son now is like 42 years old, but I didn't have a whole lot of money, and I remember like putting some change in there, and it's like that 1 second that we're passing the plate, it sounded as if chimes rang. I mean, it was just like it's such a loud sound. But you guys have a unique way of people to tithe if they want to.
We do not pass a plate, and we put a little model barn with a hole in the top of it in the back, so people can give, and we make it fine like that. The reason why we don't pass a plate is, remember what I said about removing barriers.
That was a barrier for me.
If you go to church and you don't have anything to put in it, and they pass a plate in front of you, it can be embarrassing.
It's awkward. You're sitting there because I did it, and that's why I put change in, because this is all I had. And so I was waiting. I thought, well, I've got to put something. Everybody's staring at me, so I had to. It too loud. So.
No, that's understandable. I mean, my husband and our family's gone to church a few times, and that's always been one of those things with the plate, is making sure we go to the ATM. We've got to have, because you don't want that. And it's not that you love more or less. It's just some people may not have it there. Some people may have just forgotten it, don't have cash on them. But the next neighbor can be like, oh, well, have their own opinion
uses credit cards.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And some of our churches now even have the machine in the church that you
ATM?
can. Yeah,
that's a good idea.
They even take credit. They have a machine that takes your debit card, and we hadn't done that yet. I don't know of a church that I'm close to that has, but I do believe that's a sign of the times that are coming. And it's no different than the barn. You know, it's there. We probably wouldn't put it in the sanctuary. Maybe put it out somewhere else. But because we don't ever want it to be about money. I mean, it can't ever be about the money, and it can't be. You got to remove these barriers that make people uncomfortable, and you sure don't want anybody, to feel like they're not as good as anybody else. I mean, goodness, we're all created in the image and likeness of God, so we're no different.
Well, and this is another thing I like about the Cowboy Church. Brad, now he's a handful now, Brad. But anyway, when he was a baby, he wasn't perfect. He might cry at something.
Yeah.
He may decide he wants something to drink or whatever. And I remember being in church before, and I thought, well, I'll never come back here again. Because he started crying, I couldn't get him to stop. And so I just had to walk out, and people were just looking around at me like they thought I had mistreated him or something. He was just a baby being a baby. But at Cowboy Church, it's so different. Nobody stares at your kid.
When I see a new couple come in with a little child, I go to them and tell them, look, if that child starts having trouble, if you want to take him out, that's fine. But I want you to understand, don't take him out because of me. Don't take him out because you think he's going to interrupt his service. We kind of like that sound, because we know that means there's life in the church.
Yeah.
So that's my philosophy. I always try to go to them and tell them ahead of time, don't worry, we'll be fine. If it bothers you and you want to take them out, that's one thing. But it's not going to bother us. In fact, we kind of like that sound.
Yeah.
Well, it never bothered me to ever hear a baby cry. What bothered me was people turning around staring at the mother.
Absolutely.
That bothered me much more than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I think our people get the ideal that, that nobody's better than anybody. I think we figured out that we're all equal. We're all just sinners saved by grace. And it doesn't matter if somebody's got a little more than somebody else. It's like the garbage truck driver drinking coffee with the space engineer. It doesn't matter. I mean, it just doesn't matter. That's not what's important. What we do, I mean, who we are in Christ is what's important. If He's part of our life, if we've asked Him into our heart and been born again, that's what's important.
Yeah, she's gonna have to take care of one of her clients. This is a good place to be.
Oh, it is great. I like it.
Her background's actually retail.
Oh yeah.
So she really can work with and acknowledge all of the vendors who are here. All the other
Well,
businesses.
and I mean, it looks so clean and neat out here. I mean, I hadn't been here in a few years, but the last time I came, it wasn't like this. So she's done a really
Well,
good
she
job.
has, and it's a safe place to come here to the Gadsden Mall. It's a safe place. There are some malls I've been to, I'm gonna tell you, you don't go in the day, let alone at night.
Yeah.
But she won't tolerate it. So if somebody wants to start something, she doesn't care if they do get upset. She calls the cops right there.
Yeah. And that's what it's unfortunate, but that's the day and age we live
And
in.
guess what? Word got out to the thugs.
That's good.
Don't come here.
That's right.
She won't put up with it.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But there has to be some kind of structure in everything.
Yes. And when our churches have a little bit of a struggle, it's usually that we let that kind of get by. And I'm helping one of our churches now. Me and one of my best friends have been helping this other church. And we're having to re-put some structure in place because just because everything's going great don't mean it'll always go great. And they didn't have it. They didn't have the model quite like it needed to be. And they decided, man, if it's not broke, why? But anyway, we're getting there. And I'm thankful that these things only happen every now and then. And when they do, the Lord always helps us. And they're a sweet bunch of people and easy to work with. So it makes it a whole lot better.
I'm going to mention this. Don and Judy Hunton, and they were the not Sand Mountain, it's the Lookout Mountain Cowboy Church. And they're just wonderful folks. What all her beef from them, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's about to, and it's the best beef ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say this.
Go ahead.
Lone Tree Ranch. You got to go check them out. Get with me after the show and send me an email, donna@donnasedge.com, and I'll tell you how to get in contact with them. I pulled some beef out of the freezer that had to be over 2 years old. Had to be over. and it was still good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that at a regular
No.
grocery store.
No.
So, but anyway, go check them out. They're great. But anyway, he pastors the Lookout Mountain Cowboy Church. But they have so many. I mean, I'm looking at. I was going to mention this again. It's the young people. They sit in the front of the church. So I remember back in mine in your day.
Yeah.
Only the old people sat in the front, and they had like a men's. It was called the Amen Corner.
Yeah.
So they had all the men on one side and all the women. They used to say that ain't cool to sit up there.
Yeah.
The kids sat up there.
Yeah.
I'm talking not like two. I'm talking about teenagers. And it's the same thing at Sand Mountain Cowboy Church. The kids sat up front.
Yeah.
How's that?
And you know, I just started posting it around and emailing it out to everybody. Our camps, we start registration for our camps. One of the big things we do is the AFCC has an Alabama camp, and we put a lot of work and a lot of money and resources into it, but we also get a lot of benefit, a lot of salvations from it. And I talked to Robert. Robert called me this week too, Robert Sinclair, and him and Selena do a terrific job with the young people there. But he called me this week to get a phone number, and I'm telling you, those people are invaluable. The ones, and I have some great ones at our church that work with our young people, and I'm so thankful for them. But the guy I was talking about, Mike Hamilton up in Tennessee. Well, I was talking to him the day before yesterday about the processing thing, and he said, I got a call from Don Hutton. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, he just called to tell me that if I needed anything, that he was there to help. And I said, that's him. That's just who he is. He said, when we have our first service, and he said, by the way, I want you to speak at it. He said, but when we have it, him and Judy are planning on coming.
Oh.
It's up above Knoxville. So he said, I said, man, that'll be great. That is awesome. Not many churches start off like Don and Judy's. I can tell you this. The first, because I was at all of them, the first one had 41, the second one had 43, and the third one, which is the first one I preached at, had 82 or 83 people. And now it's over 200, and they got a new building, a new youth building, new arena.
Well, they had to build back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking a brand new building.
And it wouldn't hold.
It wouldn't hold everybody, so they had to just like tear down a wall and build back to be able to accommodate them. And then the Sand Mountain Cowboy Church, same
way.
They had to tear the front out and move it back.
Because it didn't build it big enough.
It was plenty big enough, but just so many people.
I took a lesson from those guys because we built ours, and we built it intentionally too big. And there's, there was one Sunday that we had all the seats full and some people standing, even though we did that. But it's so much fun to get to do what the Lord lets me do. It is just a blessing.
2 minutes left in this segment. What would you like to tell everybody before we go?
Well, I would say get your kids and take them to a church, and make sure it's a church that believes what the Bible says, and a church that has something for young people, and raise them in church, because my mama's long been gone to heaven, but I remember her giving that speech right before VBS in our little country church, that you don't want to miss the opportunity to have your children in church and understand. And the Bible says, Solomon said it in Proverbs, train up a child the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. So yeah, we may have a teenager that gets a little rebellious or strays off, but they will come back to their training.
They'll be back.
That's right.
Absolutely. Phillip, thank you so much for being on the show.
Always my pleasure. I'm glad I got to finally meet Kaylie.
Yeah, I've been bragging about you there.
Oh, yeah, she has. And I can see why. I can see why.
Yeah, astonishing. And Kaylie, thank you so much for helping me out.
Absolutely.
Today, okay, she's my new talk show host, by the way. We'll see if we can talk her into something permanent, maybe. What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. See you next time.
My Towels solved a problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring spun cotton that makes my towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get my towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all my towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
MyPillow.com. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand-new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.